Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News, May 18th, 2021. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was very grateful to make this capture that I am about to show all of you. And for some of you, this is going to be the first time that you will actually be able to see this Planet X stellar core object breaking through the sun's corona, but not in a still photograph. You'll actually be able to see it in full motion. Now, over the years, I've been able to capture this, I think back in 2017, I caught it in 2018, 2019. I don't think, I did not catch it in 2020 because it's very, very rare. Now, I don't know 100% if NASA cleans up the 48-hour loop on the Solar Dynamics Observatory data. When that data comes back from the satellite, from the probe, I'm sure they view it. How they could miss something like what I'm about to show you, I have no idea, unless they did actually cover it up. Now, during the process, and I'm going to go ahead and start this video clip, and pay very close attention to the left side of the sun. Now, what we're looking at is a composite view of three different levels of extreme ultraviolet light. We're looking at the 211, the 193, and the 171, all combined together and layered. Now, this gives a broader viewpoint of the sun's corona, the activity, coronal holes, sunspots that are erupting, and you're going to see this Planet X stellar core object that I claim is orbiting the sun every 28 days in a very, very fast and elliptical and eccentric orbit. I've showed this evidence many times, but today we are going to have some of the clearest evidence. And if you doubted the Planet X theory, maybe today this video will set you straight. So let's take a look at it. Now, I had to do a lot of work. Well, I didn't do, but the forensic programming that we put these video clips through and the still photographs, it will start peeling back layers. And this software is used by law enforcement agencies probably around the world, but I know specifically where I get it from. It's used by well, I don't want to go any further than that, but I do have access to it. We'll just leave it at that, folks. I don't really want to throw my source under the bus, because then we will lose access to this tool, and it could possibly stop this incredible research. But let's check it out. We're going to be looking in this area right here. Now, over the course of the last couple of days, there has been a tremendous amount of activity on the sun. There is a sunspot in a very, very active region right here. Okay, well, what created that? Okay, again, the sun is supposed to be in a solar minimum, but the sun's activity is tremendous. We have a massive coronal hole. You can see it in the real dark blue right here. And that is Earth facing as of yesterday and today. So we'll probably get some activity from that. It's probably already occurring. I would say probably within the next 24 hours, that solar wind will be impacting the Earth. We may see an increase in earthquake activity as well as volcanic activity. And also the aurora will be in full bloom. But enough of that. Let's get into watching this clip. This took several hours for this to render, and I woke up about 4 o'clock this morning, and when I saw this, I have to say that it was pretty jaw-dropping. But let's get right into this. Now, in this video clip, we were able to do this recording and create a higher definition, and we had to increase the frame rate from what NASA uses, 25 frames per second. We increased it all the way to 240 frames per second. And just in a split second, that's when you're able to catch this object blasting through the sun's corona as it is literally creating this disturbance right up here. Let's get to it and let's watch it. Now you'll see it. It goes very fast, but we will be slowing it down. While you guys are checking that out, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. It's pretty amazing, folks. I have to say that, after this data came through, well, I sat here at my computer, and I have a very large screen. It's a 35 or 32-inch high-definition flat-screen television monitor, and it was wild. So you can see as the object is coming in at that very sharp angle, it is literally moving the sun's corona out of the way. This is slowed down now 40%, well, to 40%. So we slowed it down 60%. You'll see it a lot more slowly. I'll be showing you some still photographs that we can zoom in on, and we can check this object out. But folks, look. There's no doubt that the object is there. I mean, are our eyes deceiving us? I don't think so. It's pretty amazing. So this has been slowed down to 40%. And if you pay attention very, very carefully and you look closely, you can see as the object, it comes in at an angle, it's moving downward. And this is the point where this Planet X object, it will move downward at a sharp angle, and it will go below the ecliptic, our solar system's midway point. And as it loops back around and it comes back upward, that is probably the reason why we don't see some form of an eclipse. And even though the object is moving very rapidly, if it did cross directly in front of the sun's face, we would probably see momentary eclipses. But because it is coming from that very acute angle downward below the solar system's ecliptic and then back up at another very sharp angle, we would only be able to see it once again when it gets to about this region over here. So it seems like we can capture this object as long as it is near the sun's ecliptic or midway point. Now, a lot of that may have to do with the positioning of these space satellites and probes, the stereo satellite and the SDO. I think that may have, some play into it. Now this is going to replay. This is full speed once again here. And you could literally see it just break right through the sun's corona. Now, whenever we view this composite, which is the 211, 193, and 171 angstrom view of extreme ultraviolet light on the Solar Dynamics Observatory, the SDO website, you can download the 48-hour clip. And once again, it's kind of poor quality. It used to be much, much higher definition, and it's not anymore. It hasn't been like that for several years. I think it's going on 3 years now. They lowered the quality, the resolution. And maybe that is to possibly obscure what we're looking for. Probably. I don't see any other reason why they would do something like that. And that is only for the public viewing website. So here we go, slowed down again. And you can see it blazing right through the sun's corona. And that is, it looks very fast to you on your screen, but that is pretty close to the equivalent of 3 hours. So in a 3-hour time period, it blazed right through that portion of the sun's corona, just about at the sun's ecliptic, the sun's midway point, the halfway point. So you can see that this object's orbit is very defined. It comes downward, it drops below our solar system's ecliptic. How far down it goes, we will probably never know, because we don't have any view down there. And as it slingshots back upward is where we can capture it again on the other side of the sun, near the sun's ecliptic. And at this point, as it comes back upward, it's looping back around. And I believe at these closest points, the midway points, left and right or right and left, is where we see the majority of these coronal mass ejections. Why is that? Well, let's think about it. If this object is getting that close to the sun during these two positions, during its orbit around the sun, then those positions are what is allowing it to get close enough, create the disturbance, pull the plasma from the sun, and therefore creating that coronal mass ejection that we consistently see even during this solar minimum. So, as we fade away out of this solar minimum and into a solar maximum, and the sun is generating more power and it's becoming more active with more sunspots, more weak areas where interaction between the two magnetic fields, the sun and this object. There is a very, very high probability that the coronal mass ejections that we have witnessed and recorded during this solar minimum will intensify 100-fold. So, where does that leave Earth? Well, that could put us in the bullseye of some very intense solar situations over the course of 11 years. 5 years leading up to the peak, and then approximately, 5.5 to 6 years as we move into another solar minimum. But who's to say that any of that even happens? There are some of these scientists out there now that are saying that, this solar minimum could be extended, causing another, deep freeze. It's kind of up in the air. One side says, deep freeze. The other side says massive warming, intense radiation. I don't know, That is something that we will eventually find out for ourselves as we literally live it and go through it and experience it. And then, and only then, we'll be able to determine which side was wrong. So we have a long ways to go, but like I said, we'll be living it. We'll be experiencing what is about to happen. I was thinking the other day, this big rush all of a sudden over these last few years of sending human beings to Mars, getting off of this planet. Stephen Hawking, before he passed away, he did state that the human race, in order to survive, must leave this planet. At first, he said, within the next 100 years. In order for the human race to survive, we would have to leave Earth and create a habitat on another planet. Then he changed his mind just before his death, and it was no longer leave Earth within 100 years. It was, you have to leave this planet and inhabit another planet within 50 years. What does Stephen Hawking know that the rest of science doesn't? And why is there this huge rush to go to Mars, which is further away from the sun, and create a habitat for the human race? I mean, do they obviously know something that we don't? And as dangerous as it would be to make that trek in a spacecraft from Earth to Mars, land, and be able to survive all of it. I mean, who's going to be those guinea pigs? Who's going to be those astronauts? I know, Elon Musk, I follow him a lot. And, he did an interview not too long ago, and he told the reporter that, in the course of this travel to Mars, that, more than likely, some people will lose their lives as we continue to get human beings to the red planet. I mean, is there eventually going to be a time where the Earth may become completely uninhabitable? Is that what, Stephen Hawking was referring to when he made that grim statement, that grim prediction? In order for the human race to survive, we must leave this planet within the next 50 years. Most of us will be, dead and gone. I'm 53 years old now. I doubt very highly if I'm going to live to see the end of this. What I do think about is, I don't know, where is my mark in history going to be? Out of all of these other people on YouTube that really claim to be these Planet X researchers and Planet X investigators, if you really sit down and think about it, folks, and out of all of the videos that you've ever watched on the boob tube, who is the only one that has actually made the discovery and put it out there for public viewing? You're looking at it right here on Planet X News. All of the others, they talk about biblical history, the Nibiru myth, the Nibiru story. No observational evidence. None. Zero. All of those people out there, Marshall Masters, Gil Broussard, all those people, they've never ever shown any of you hardcore evidence, because they didn't do their homework. They relied on old stories from the past, and they sensationalized it. They didn't do any research. They made some posters, they wrote some books, they wrote some blogs, they did some videos. Their persona was attractable to all of you. And maybe at some point in time in the past, you believed what they were telling you. But in fact, they weren't showing you any evidence. Zero. Today, you're seeing some of the most incredible evidence that has ever been seen. Once again, we're now watching it, we're visualizing it, we're seeing it in motion. What, can some claim that that's Mercury? I don't think so. It's entirely too big. Could it be Venus? Absolutely not. Venus isn't that large. That object that we're viewing now looks to be 4 or 5 times larger than Jupiter. It is truly amazing. The times that we are living in, with UFO disclosure right on our doorfront, knocking at the door. It's on television, on the news, every single day. This should be on mainstream news right now. This should be on the cover of every astronomy magazine. Every astrophysicist and astronomer and scientist should be looking at this right now with their jaw on the floor. But they know better. They know better. This subject matter has been hushed up, well, for the last 30, 40 years? You know, I've been trying to find this object ever since my last year in college. That was 1991. But with today's technology, we're able to see it and view it. But NASA won't admit it. Although they'll tell you that, they found 1,000 exoplanets light years away. Well, who cares about exoplanets light years away? Wouldn't you really want to know more about your own solar system, your own planet, and your own sun, your own star? The things that give you life and allow you to exist. An exoplanet a light year away doesn't allow you to exist. I just don't understand the way they think, but hell, it's a government organization. What do we expect? Let's take a look at these still photographs. We'll cut this video out. And we will take a look at the still photographs. So this is the still photograph. And right down here you can see where the composite layovers of the 211, 193, and the 171 angstroms of extreme ultraviolet light. Truly amazing. We can go ahead, the next photograph, and zoom in. We can see the object right there. Amazing. A lot higher definition than what is actually provided on the public access website for the SDO. This has to be one of the best photographs. It is truly amazing. Let's take another zoomed in look. I mean, if you're not viewing this on a cell phone, and maybe you're viewing this on a good computer monitor, or your big flat screen TV in your living room, you could actually almost see some detail on this this stellar object as it's blowing through the sun's corona as it makes its 28-day orbit around our sun. Let's zoom in a little bit and see. It may get a little blurry. I mean, there you go, folks. I guess that's what you call right in your face type of evidence. Now, excuse me. As far as coloring goes, I don't think that, that kind of looks green, kind of a greenish yellow, and there's a little bit of a red streak going across here. This red streak here, that is part of the corona. Remember, this is 3 different angstroms of ultraviolet light. These are 3 overlays from the SDO. So you have the purple, the yellow, and the purple, the yellow, and I believe I get my SDO frames mixed up. But there's 3 different portions of this laid over that make this image. So I don't think that greenish color is the actual color of this object. So the coloration would be, a false color. Pretty wild looking. Anyways, let's go take a look at the photograph in a negative. So the composite, it's made up of the purple SDO image that you'll see me show when we look at coronal holes, the kind of bronzy color, and also the bright yellow. The 211, the 193, and the 171. You could see it down in the lower left-hand corner of the screen of the picture right there. And we could also see right above these huge plasma loops. And that is the disturbance. This object literally came down just like that. There is a sunspot there. There was an active region there. And it literally caused multiple disruptions. I mean, when you watch it on the 48-hour loop, it looks like it happens very, very rapidly. But, this is time-lapsed, so it's not happening that fast. As we were able to capture this object in these frames, once we increased the frame rate to 240 frames per second, it was then and only then were we able to capture this object in 1 frame. 1. So the timeline is about 3 hours that it took this object to pass through and then leave our point of view. Let's take another look. This is blown up a little bit more. You can see it right here. Here are the huge plasma loops and the area of disturbance right here. They're referred to as an AR, an active region. And those plasma loops that you see here are huge, massive. Those could easily be 50,000, 75,000 miles high off of the internal surface of the sun. Incredible. And there's our object blowing through. And we have the one last zoomed in. And there she be. It's I was trying to think, okay, how close would this be? But, we're dealing with like kind of a one-dimensional still photograph. We're dealing with two round objects. So mathematically, I don't know, I'm not a super duper mathematician. So I couldn't really tell you how far away this object is as it's passing by. It could be, 100,000 miles away from the sun. It could be 50, 75. The perception from the camera, the angle, the speed. There's a whole bunch of factors. But one fact is for sure. Today, for maybe your first time, you were able to prove to yourself that this object is real, it does exist, it is not imaginary, and you just watched it cruise right through the sun's corona, and you saw it here on Planet X News. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and do me a favor. Thumbs up the video and share this video. Let others see and witness what you did today. Take care, folks. Be safe out there.